Very good coffee. Man, I'm good. I drove in and I was trying to get here. I do after school at the school I'm at as assistant principal, so I was going, please let all the students get home so I'm not late to show up for church to teach. Because that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Now, I would make it happen. I'm moving this closer. Sorry, y'all. I would try to find somehow to make it happen if that were to happen. But I got here. So I left the school building and came to the church building. So it's fantastic. So I walked in. I'm like, okay, I had no monster or anything like that. If you haven't got an outline, I do have an outline. I have an outline. I know last time if you were here, I was like, I don't do the outlines. This will keep me centered, I guess. And so we're doing that. I hope everybody's had a great Wednesday. So far, your work week is great. If you're retired, fantastic. But I hope your work week is going good and you're doing that. Turn to your neighbor and stuff for just a second, the person sitting next to you, and just tell them the last song you listened to on the radio. Just do that for a minute. The last song you listened to on the radio, whether it was on the way to church, this morning, just... Yeah? Okay. In education, we call that like turn and talk to your neighbor and stuff, so I just figured I'd do a little bit of that tonight. And tonight, this outline is going to be based on a little bit of what happened at our conference that we had, our Big Dreams conference, and it's talking about the mission and leverage and stuff. But I got some announcements to do. If you're interested, our Taste of Manna team is working on publishing a cookbook. Your favorite dishes can be printed in our cookbook for everyone to enjoy. Submit them to Tiffany Barber at the welcome desk or to our church office staff at fwc.tv. If you are ready to take the next step in your faith and journey by getting involved in ministry or joining the church, we would love to see you in Next Steps this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. If you're new to the church, new coming, you can get involved there. We will meet in the first classroom on the right inside the west end doors. We're going to continue Sunday night prayer at 6 p.m. Ms. Diane's going to, I think, be leading that for the month of February. Attention, FWC volunteers. If you are a volunteer in any aspect at FWC, the Greta's, the first Greta Awards, the Greta's, our first annual volunteer appreciation banquet will take place on Thursday evening, February 23rd at 6:30 p.m. This is a special night to honor those of you who serve in ministry. All the invitations have been mailed out if you are serving currently in any capacity inside of FWC. All ladies are invited to join us for an In Touch dinner, all ladies In Touch dinner and fellowship meeting on Tuesday, February 28th at 6:30 p.m. here at the church. Please sign up in the foyer. Join us on Wednesday, March the 1st at 7 p.m. for Southbound and Clint Brown in concert. There's going to be a concert here. That's always fun. Nice concert, March 1st, so mark your calendars for that. We shared some of their latest releases on our Facebook page, so check that out. If you don't follow us if you don't have social media, okay. If you do, Facebook, Instagram, you can follow FWC on there and check it out. Wednesday night offering is designated as missions. Thank you for supporting our missionaries, including Ever and Emily from Solo Hope. And did I hear last Sunday that we are wanting to get a trip to Honduras? Yes? Oh, I can't. Okay, I'm going to. Oh, good. I got to go to Honduras and Nicaragua about 8 years ago. And so when they said that, I was like, missions trip? So if that happens and there's a plan for it, I definitely would get involved in doing that. If you've never been on a missions trip or gone out of the country to be in another world, you should do that. You should take the opportunity to try to get that done in your world. Okay, cool. Announcements done. Check. My world as assistant principal is all made of checklist all day long. Just check. Got it done. Yes. Check. Got it done. I'm going to do that several times throughout this, so y'all hang on. So this is a breakout session that we had at our FWC Big Dreams Conference, and we were talking about leveraging the mission towards taking care of business towards kids in our youth ministry. And you go, why in the world would that have anything to do or pertain for me to hear this? Well, whether you know it or not, all the little kids and the youth, when you're leaving out, they watch people. They are master observers. In all of my years of being in church ministry with youth and kids, in the educational platform, kids watch adults. Kids see you. When you don't think they're seeing you, they are watching you. Whether they know you or not, they watch you. They see the things that you say, the things that you do, even if you're a person that's just standing out there and you're just talking. When that car pulls in or they drive in as a youth, they see the greeters in the parking lot. They look at the people that are walking in. They are master observers. Their world is social media, to watch people's facial expressions, how people look, what people say. They are interested in what goes on around them. Most of the time they hear more conversations than we probably can keep up with at one time. So this pertains to all of us as the church, because all of us, if we're part of FWC and the mission is to reach people, then our goal in-house and out of house is to show kids and youth who Jesus is through us when we don't think they're watching, when they really are. So I'm going to go over this outline with us tonight, and this is the exact one that I did with all the youth and the MIP folks that were part of youth and ministry that they're working in. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight. We're going to have a little bit of fun, and we're just going to kind of jump into this, okay? So if you look at the first top part, that is Pastor R.C. paraphrased. Jesus has always been about the business of students. Just ask those folks in the Bible about that one time when he was trying to spend some time with some kids. If you don't recall that story, you can, in Matthew 19, that 13 through 15 part, this was the part that Jesus was doing his thing, and kids came running up to him, and he was putting his hands and laying his hands on them, and evidently it got too much for the adults that were standing around. So the adults started standing in, and the disciples saying, whoa, what's going on? And Jesus was like, wait, you don't need to stop them from coming to me. And so Jesus is about the business of kids. My entire, I guess since 16 on, has always been about kids and youth. That's been my world. That's what I know in my field of expertise. I'm confident when somebody asks me about kids, I can tell you when I watch kids for a little bit, I can tell you what that kid's thinking probably about you. I can tell them because I've been around kids. I'm a kid at heart. So I like to think that I think like sometimes a child, because Jesus told people that sometimes in some aspects you need to think like a child. And the reason he told that is, how many of you have ever talked to a child recently and they've been completely honest with you? How many of you have walked in and you've got something on, or your hair is a certain way, and you've walked by 15 adults, and all of them have greeted you with, hey, how you doing? I hope your day's going great. That's good. And that kid comes up to you and goes, hey, what's wrong with your hair? You got a booger in your nose. The honesty of children amazes me, and I love it. If you go up to a youth, they're going to tell you exactly how they feel about stuff. They're going to be nice, and then in about 3 seconds, they're going to turn into Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you don't know who you're talking to at that moment. So you have to balance that out with them. So I just love the honesty of kids. I'm around them all day. I have pre-cares coming up to me. Tonight, we were lined up because we didn't have all of our after-school teachers there, and so I've got about 25 kids standing in line, and I've got them coming up rubbing my arm. Mr. Tucker, what's that on your arm? What do you mean what's on my arm? I said, it's hair. It's hair on my arm. Why do you have so much hair? Why is your hair gray? Why you cut your hair like that? It's leaning over. Got one kid in the office. He's just bouncing up and down. Buddy, stay seated. He ain't bothering me a bit. He can just move around or whatever he wants to do. A couple of other adults come in. They're like, sit down, boy. It wasn't bothering me that he was moving around, because kids move. All right, so Jesus is about kids. At FWC, our mission is Family Worship Center. Y'all want to read it with me? Okay. Ready? Family Worship Center is a community of Spirit-filled believers committed to God's purpose of changing lives by worshiping God, leading others to Jesus, and building a unified team to care for all in every stage of life. We love, we learn, we lead. I love that. I love those three things. We love, we learn, we lead. Because if you love something, you want to learn about it, and of course you should be wanting to lead other people in it. So if we love Jesus, I want to learn more about him so I can lead other people to him. I love education. I want to learn more about how to be better at it, so therefore I can go out and lead people in it. You can use those three words with anything that you're wanting to love. I love my wife. I want to continue to learn about who she is, how she affects me in my life, and then I want to be able to lead our marriage together. I love how those words can fix into anything. Taking care of business, making the mission a reality for youth and kids. So how do you and I help make it a reality of this mission to youth and kids? So we're going to break it down a little bit. And then at some point tonight, I'm going to ask some folks if you want to volunteer, or I'm just going to put it out there that, hey, we got some volunteer openings up in the children's ministry that we need you if you're not involved in anything. So I'm going to come after you during this. It's going to be fantastic. And then next week, I'm going to do something totally different. So get anybody else here that you can. Okay? So I got to do this for 3 weeks, y'all. I'm so excited. I get it this Wednesday, I get it next Wednesday, and I get it the Wednesday after. Everybody clap. You should be happy. Yes, thank you. Okay. Anyways, some people are like, oh, God, I'm not coming next week. You can be honest. I'm around kids all the time. You're not going to offend me. Has anybody ever been offended by a kid? Like you thought, that kid just offended me, and I can't be mad because they're a kid. Whereas if an adult came up to you and told you that, to be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you what she said to me or he said to me. You don't go do that to somebody and go, hey, can you believe what this kid said to me? Nobody has ever done that, other than telling a funny story that the kid told you that. All right, so here's the part you're waiting on, the fill in the blanks. Ready? What is the purpose of our kids and youth ministries in relation to the mission we just read together? What is the purpose of our kids and youth ministries in relation to the mission? So how do we want to take that mission, and how does it relate to kids? Number one, we want to point them to the cross. Point them to the cross and salvation. Point them to the cross and salvation. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's the same thing we want to do with adults, right? We want to get them to point. The problem is adults are a little bit somewhat easier to say, hey, pay attention a little bit. Let me show you this because the understanding is there. Than sometimes kids because they're a little bit more spastic and they don't want to focus on what we're trying to do for them. All right, number two. Help them understand God. Help them understand God is always with them and is a friend. Help them understand God is always with them and is a friend. You know, a lot of times our kids are distracted, y'all, just like we are. They have a ton of these things. They have YouTube. They have TV at home now that doesn't just have 4 channels. And you only get so many programs. They got every program that you can think of, and they can look and find anything they want to watch at any time. So why in the world do I care about coming to church and letting Jesus be my friend or listen to anything about what Jesus has got to say for me? You know, being in children's ministry and involved in that, a lot of times people want to know, well, why you got to do all those games down there and make it so loud and play all that music and do all that? Well, think about this. When you were a kid, did you enjoy boring? So take when you were a kid, add all the distractions of this year in this society that we have today, and tell me how we do it quietly. Because I will start a fire for an object lesson up in the building if it gets a kid to understand that hell is bad, Jesus loves you, and he's your friend. I will do whatever I can do to make that come to life for that child or for those kids. I can't do too much of that in here because y'all would think I was crazy. Because I have been places where people have come in and told me that, yeah, you need to kind of hold it down a little bit. Don't need to be so loud. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm pretty sure that Jesus, when he was on hillsides and stuff and talking, that he wasn't just whispering to people. I'm pretty certain. And I'm pretty sure in the larger crowds, you have to yell, you have to scream, you have to make it exciting. I mean, I'm pretty sure that when he was like healing people and like spitting on the ground and rubbing in people's eyes, and they were like, oh, I can see. It was not quiet, and everybody sitting in a seat in a pew and going, oh, Jesus, that was so wonderful. Can you believe that that guy had been sitting, he was just crippled. And all of a sudden, he's walking. Man, I'm just going to sit here and let's just talk about it. No! You know, sometimes you got to let your imagination run a little bit with the Bible because there was some pretty cool stuff that happened that people got excited about, I'm pretty sure, because they were human. They may have talked different and worked up different, but, I mean, they busted out a roof one time to lower some dude down. So I'm just saying, there were some crazy people in the Bible days, just as crazy as we got today. So we have to help them understand that God is always with them and is a friend, is somebody there that is understanding of who they are. All right, so number 3, what is the purpose of our kids and youth ministries in relation to the mission of We Love, We Learn, We Lead? Lead them to know that Jesus is worth worshiping. Lead them to know that Jesus is worth worshiping. Why do I want to come to your church? Why do I want to get up in the morning and go with my parents? Why do I want to show up on a Wednesday night when I got other stuff I can do? Why do I want to come here and preach an outline to folks that may or may not care when I just got done working and I can go to the house, sit down, watch what I want on TV? It's the worth. What worth are we showing when people look at us, when kids hear us and youth hear us talking about church? How often do they hear us talking about church and Jesus outside? How much worth are they hearing from all the adults that they encounter within a day to say Jesus is worth worshiping? Just questions. Because sometimes I have to be, I'm here to be an advocate and step in for kids and youth and go, hey, it's everybody's job. You know, Pastor preaching on some pretty heavy stuff the other week. And what we're trying to do in youth and children is catch them before they make any decisions. Because I've got second graders and first graders that are trying to determine who they are. And we have to stay politically correct in the job I'm in. So I want you to understand, it's not just an adult and young adult, 20-something, college, and youth and teenagers. This stuff that he talked about is happening in our young folks. I'm in the thick of it. Where the world is telling them it's all okay. No matter what you do, it's all good. You know, you can worship this God. You don't have to worship Jesus. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to worship Jesus. You know, there's other stuff. There's Buddha out there. There's, you know. So how much is the need for us in the church to make sure that when we see those kids going by, whether we know them or not, that we're speaking life into them and saying, hey, Jesus is worth this. Okay, so this is the part I like. Here we go. How do we teach it? How do we teach it, model it? What can we do in our lives just as... How many people in here work in the school system or you work directly with children? Or you work directly with youth? Okay. So this is why I want to teach this tonight. Because I want you to see somebody, when I say I am passionate about it, I'm not an educator walking around going, oh God, I got 8 more years. And I want to retire. I'm ready to You won't ever hear me say how many years I got left to teach. I got until Jesus tells me I'm done. Because I love kids, and I love the education, and I love the fact that I can impact a kid's life, because it's worth it, because at some point in that educational platform, I can pour into that kid what I know will help and save their life and their family's life. Because that's my mission. Because it's worth those kids. It's worth me taking and going, I love this job and I love dealing with kids. I love the attitude. I love a kid that cusses me out. It's fantastic. One, they're telling me the raw emotion of what they're feeling at that moment that I can't get out of any adult. I can work with that. Raw emotions leads people to right here. And I'm not talking about I'm leading kids to Jesus at school. What I'm leading them to is them knowing that I love them. And I don't mind, and there's a reason that you have to cuss at me and fuss at me and get mad at me or have attitude with me. It's because the environment that you live in, there is no love. So therefore, I'm standing in the gap because that's what I'm supposed to do. So no, I will not. And educators are out there, stop saying, if you're a good educator, stop saying that you're about to retire and when you're going to retire. I'm going to do it until I don't love it no more. Or until Jesus goes, you know what? You good. So how do we teach it? Ready? Create all moments. All moments. AWE. Like, oh. Who's been to Disney World? Raise your hand. Epcot. Water parks. Your favorite mall, Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is exciting. It is. The first time I went to Buc-ee's, I was like, oh my gosh, the beef jerky. This is amazing. Just the size of it. It's great, right? It was Busy Bee at first. It was like, whoa, Busy Bee. And then Buc-ee's, what? It created an awe moment in your life, right? Read that little thing I got right there. Eric Schinniger, he's an educator. It says, bring the awe. Awe might seem like just another 3-letter word, but it is so much more. Humans can get goosebumps when we experience awe, that exuberant feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends our understanding of the world. It is a catalyst that can motivate people to do more good. Awe helps bind us to get others, motivating us to act in collaborative ways that enable strong groups and cohesive communities. When's the last time that you went to a 4th of July and started some fireworks? Or heard Lee Greenwood saying, God bless the USA. You do that in a room of people that love Jesus and love like the United States? Or who listened to the national anthem? Somebody just sing the national anthem. And they just, it creates something like an awe moment. And see, I think Jesus wants us to experience that. You know, when we're up here, when they're up here worshiping, okay. This past Sunday, because I'm guilty of standing, I sit in the back. I do. You won't see me in the front. I'm a preacher's kid. I won't be in the front. Somebody asked me about it. I said, look, I just don't sit in the front. Don't like the front. Not that I don't be like close to Jesus, because if that song is hitting my heart, you can better believe that this boy's going to come up here and I'm going to be up at the front and I'm going to worship as close as I can. Don't have a problem with that. But there are times that I probably need to move out of that seat and come to this front anyways, whether I feel like it or not. Why? Because I create all moments for every kid that's out there. Look, Pastor RC's up there. And I know that. Later on in the outline, I'm going to talk about self-reflection. What am I doing? Because sometimes we get in the business of our self-centeredness about my relationship with Jesus. Sometimes your relationship to Jesus is just as easy as saying, hey, I'm going to come up here and worship. Y'all know it's okay to get up out of your seat or move out of your seat. I told you I would stay right there. I'm sorry. I'm moving out of my circumference. That it's okay to leave your seat and come down here and worship. Because in reality, when we get to heaven, there are no seats. There's no pews. Because they said we're just going to worship 24/7. Well, there's no time is not going to exist, so it don't matter. We're just going to worship God all the time. So y'all, we might as well practice down here. But we come in because we've been trained by just growing up in it that I'm just going to sit back here. I'm going to look on my phone. We'll check out Facebook. Yes, Jesus. I'm guilty. I'm talking about me. I don't know about you. I'm just throwing stuff out. But that doesn't create any awe moments for anybody. This worship team is up here. They singing. Because I've been there. When you standing up there and you're singing and you're worshiping and you feeling. I mean, they practice these songs. They're singing worship songs to our Father that sent His Son to die on a cross. They're singing about that. That He's the person that fills in gaps on things. He's the person that I can love on. He's the person that... And we're all just standing here. Are we not in awe of that? Again, I'm speaking to me too. Blake Shelton it for the boys. Create all moments. So for the kids, how do we teach it? Here we go. First bullet point. We can define the words within the mission. We can define the words within the mission. So how do we teach it? We have to define the words in a mission. All those words that are out there on that wall right back there in the hallway, we're going to take and we're going to use those words and define them for the youth, and we're going to define them for the kids. Because they need to understand what those words mean. What does Spirit-filled mean? What does worshiping God anyways mean? Unified team, what is that? We just assume kids know these things. So if you ever walk by and you see a kid looking at those signs, say, hey man, you know what that says? You don't have to be working with kids to teach the kids. Do it anyways. So we can define the mission to them and take those words and make them come to life. Next bullet, we can teach the words within the mission. Now this is what we do, and when we're down here in the youth and we're down here in the cubbies, the youth, the cubbies, the nursery, the weak kids, and upstairs to the elementary, we are taking the words and we're defining them, we are teaching them to the children so they understand our mission. Our mission will be to take the mission statement of our church and make sure that we get our students and cubbies to understand and our wee kids to understand what this all means by showing them every Sunday morning. That's what happens down there in these bottom halves right here where you hear kids and see kids going and they exit and leave out. There's people teaching those words. But there's no reason why if you see a kid coming through the hallway and you just look at them and you're like, they're acting like crazy, they're jumping up and down on the couch and stuff out there, or they're running up underneath of a chair. It's okay. They're not going to hurt themselves. Well, whatever. It's church. Some people think, well, you crazy. I don't want kids running around being crazy. There's a time and a place for everything. But I don't need to come across there ready to rip somebody's head off. We are showing love at church. Like, I have no problem with a kid acting up upstairs. If they're upstairs and acting up, I will certainly go get their parents and say, they need to sit with you tonight or today. I don't have a problem with that. Kids that, I am not discriminated, I do not discriminate against any children's workers that have people that work here or people that volunteer or people, because there is a certain order that Jesus wants in life. And they should understand that you can't just be a raging maniac and just go anywhere and just run around and do what you need to do at times. Because the lightning bolt will come down and zap you. I tell kids stuff like that. People tell me I shouldn't, but if it stops at that moment, then, they get to thinking about it, and they go, was he for real? I produce questions in their life. So we teach the words. The next bullet, we can bring understanding to the phrases within the mission. So we can take and define the words. We can bring understanding, we bring understanding to the phrases within the mission. So I don't know if you've been in school or how long it's been since you've been in school, but how many people remember back in the day when y'all were reading something, your teacher told you to keep your finger on the place that everybody was reading? Anybody do that? Like when they were reading something, you had to track the reading, and like the teacher would call on one person, they would read, and you had to know when that teacher said, "Okay, you read." Back in the day, they'd slap you with a ruler. You can't do that now because you'll get arrested and put in jail and lose your certificate, although they need it sometimes. I have a paddle in my office that when I started teaching, I was able to paddle a child in my classroom and send them back to class. How many people remember that? Okay. How many people you received it? You received it in Jesus' name, right? Okay. And so you had to track and read and do those things. And the reason the teacher wanted them to do that, it was because I wanted you to comprehend what this is saying, to show me that you do know how to learn this. So that's what we want to do with our kids. We want to make sure that they understand it. So if you're a parent or if you're a grandparent, when your kids sit down with them and read. Sit down with them and read Scripture with them and do that kind of stuff. Because they need to understand it from other people other than their parents. That's why we all the time are pushing for volunteers to come down. Because we want kids to see somebody else love Jesus and understand Jesus and who He is and give them that instruction. All right, next page, the youth. I think it's the next page. The youth. How do we teach the youth? Youth are crazy. They're just insane teenagers. Jekyll and Hydes. That's all they are. Y'all can laugh. Y'all got to loosen up now. If I'm going to have y'all for 3 weeks, y'all got to laugh a little bit. I know y'all tired from work and stuff. I am too. I could go right there and go to sleep. I could. I'm not going to, because that would be weird. Youth. First bullet, we can define the words within the mission, same thing with the kids, but we're going to extend it. We can define the words within the mission and explain the purpose. See, youth have a little bit more understanding. You can tell them the definition of the words, but they need to know how in the world, what is the purpose behind that? What's the purpose of the whole Spirit-filled thing? Like, I watched a YouTube video, and I saw some dude running around, and he was just, blah, 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 blah. Is that Spirit-filled? Because I looked it up on YouTube, and I put Spirit-filled in there, and that was the video that came up. If anybody in here, you haven't attached to YouTube ever, because I know some people said in here, you're like, I don't know what he's talking about. It's a search engine that has everything in the world in it. And when you type it in the search, it pulls up a video for it. So I want you to think about that. Anything that you search, any topic, any subject matter, anything. So youth know how to do that. So when I say something and say that this means this, do you know what youth are doing? I do it too. When somebody says something, I'm like, oh, really? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. You sure? You sure? You want to fix a washer and dryer? You do. Better make sure you get the right one, though, because they mess you up. You can learn anything on YouTube. It's fantastic. It's also scary, because everything that you are saying to that youth, they're going to get an explanation, and they're going to find out the purpose on their own or with your help. We want to explain that purpose and help them with that. That's what Rhett and all them do up there. That's a fantastic job. Second bullet, we can teach the words. Same with the kids, teach the words within the mission, and then apply it, and apply them to their life. We can teach the words within the mission and apply them to their life. Now, I know I'm talking about kids and youth, but this works for us too. Just throwing that out there. How many of you remember something from your childhood or youth that you learned? Whether it was good or bad. How many people drove here tonight? Everybody remember that first experience? Sometimes we need to think back and think about that stuff. Be like, I remember when I drove. I do. I remember the first time I drove. I was so excited. My dad had we had either a Suzuki or something, 125 motorcycle, and I was living in Ocala, and I could drive to school at 15 because on a motorcycle you could drive at 15 to school. So I drove it to school. But then they thought that was a bad idea, so I didn't ride to school anymore. But to think about those things, because we learned things and we had things happen in our life that somebody explained to us, and we realized, maybe not right then, but later on, that there was a purpose behind me learning that. I mean, think back to a little kid. How many of you have ever been around a child with an iron? An iron that you iron clothes with. Iron. I don't know how to say it. Is I saying it wrong? Iron. Yeah, a kid. What do you tell them? Or a stove. That's hot. They didn't listen. Guess what they learned? You were right. There is a purpose by you telling me, no, that's hot. Don't touch that. Or freaking out, no, don't touch that. And they look at you, oh, God, why are you yelling at me? We freak out a little bit. And then when you got older and had kids, your parents told you that. What did you do with your kids? Same thing. Oh, my God. You better touch that. It's hot. We applied it, right? Okay. This stuff is not hard. It's easy. Next bullet. We can lead them. This is the next bullet. We can lead them, and this is the line that we need to all get a hold of. We can lead them in walking out the purpose of the mission in their life. When I look around a church and I walk through a church, because I'm an observer too. I love to sit and observe people. I can sit in them all day and just watch people. That's not weird. Because everybody comes from somewhere and they act a certain way, and facial expressions and body language. Those things amaze me, that God established every one of us different in how they interact with people. So when I'm walking around church, and y'all gonna think I'm weird now, when I'm walking around church, they're like, oh my God, he's watching what I'm doing. No. It's just a natural thing I do because I'm at a school and my head has always got to be on the swivel watching everything. To observe what's happening, what's going on, walking around, seeing stuff. But when kids walk by and they just see you laughing out there and you're smiling and y'all are having conversation, and you may not even see those kids walk by you and just look up and see that face that's laughing or smiling. I have seen those things happen. I've watched it. When I come down from out there, I'm just out there, my head is all, because I have a problem. When I'm talking to somebody, I have to really focus in a crowded room. When you're talking to me, if I'm looking like I'm looking past you, I probably am for a minute, until I get my brain and go, all right, focus on who's talking to you, because they're going to think they're ignoring you. Because I'm so involved in watching what's happening, especially if there are kids in the room. You can ask my wife, at the beach, we can be sitting on the beach, because I love the beach. We can be sitting on the beach, in my chair, in our spot. People will come up with kids. Most people that would bother, we're like, whatever, we're around them anyway, so what's another day of screaming kids at the beach when I'm trying to relax in my old blue chair? It's all good. But I'll sit there and I'll watch the kids that are playing on either side of us. Why? My expectancy of something's going to happen. Because some parents don't watch their kids. But my instinct is to watch for kids. So I have jerked up a couple of kids out of the water that the parents didn't see them go into the water. I've watched it happen. I've watched, here comes the kid down the thing. There's no adult behind them. They're just running down the beach. I'm like, what in the world? Where's the adult at? This kid's just running. They don't even know they're gone. I'm talking about phones. My head's always on a swivel. That's why I watch when the kids are around. I'll watch here. I'll watch the youth out in the parking lot. There was a time that I was leaving church going out into the parking lot to make sure none of the youth were sitting in the cars in the parking lot. Why? Because I was a youth one time. I was a preacher's kid. I didn't have to sit on the front row. I was at the church all the time. I outsmarted them. I'd go out there and see if they're sitting in the car talking. We talking about Jesus. No, you know, I get back in there and talk about Jesus. I have told youth here, hey, y'all need to go to church. I'll walk through the halls sometimes just to see, because there's classrooms in here. They would do that at church? Yes. They were doing it way back in the day, so they're doing it now. I'm helping them and modeling for them that, hey, you don't need to be doing that, whether it hurts their feelings or not. Sometimes we don't need to worry about so much of hurting people's feelings when it's the right thing to do and bring it across. That's why Pastor preaches and said, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm not trying to be political. It's not political. It's the Word of God. Don't have, you should wait till you're married to have sex. That's not a hard concept, so I'm stopping it. Going out there going, hey guys, I'm not telling you that's not going to feel good. But what I am telling you, you don't want to do it now. Get up there and learn about Jesus. Y'all, if people were real with youth today, we wouldn't have so many problems that we got, because nobody just wants to say it. See, people said it to me. I had a youth pastor that said it to us. He just cut across the field and just said it. We didn't try to go around the bush and go around this way and go around this way to say stuff. Just said it. That's how we help them walk it out. So creating all moments. And it creates an all moment because they think this adult has just come up to me and told me that I shouldn't be doing stuff in the car. Guess what? The next time they're sitting somewhere else in a car with somebody, guess what they're going to think about? My face. They're going to be sitting in that car and God's going to go, remember when? And they're going to go, that guy told me not to go there. I don't care if I know him or not. But if it reminds them, I created that all moment in their life to go, oh, that dude came out to the church parking lot one time and told me quit having sex in the car. So I probably don't need to have it here. Or sneak off. Or we're going to go in the room and study. It's so funny. They think we're stupid. You know that? You think we're stupid. Kids think we're stupid too. Like we've never been a kid before. It's fantastic. We all been kids. If you haven't, you probably need to worry. Just saying. Mental. Never mind. Our mission should be driven to build spiritual champions. So here's the thing up on Eric Schenniger. I love this quote. He is not a Christian. He is a Christian. I don't know if he's a Christian or not. He's an education dude. This is not biblical in that phrase. Go back to the last time you experienced a moment of awe and think about how this impacted you. I would wager that many specific experiences come to mind. Descriptors such as awesome, jaw-dropping, satisfying, a rapturous probably come to mind. The power of awe cannot be overstated. When we experience the sensation of awe, we are consumed by wonder, relevancy, emotion, engagement, inspiration, and real-world connection. It is a pivotal ingredient in making ideas resonate. I'm going to go back to worship and being that model. I was always taught, well, you don't need to just experience, it just doesn't need to be a fun experience, like an emotional experience with Jesus. Like, they just play that music and pound it to get the emotions going. Absolutely. There's going to be angels in heaven that have like built-in instruments inside their bodies. I want to know how much bass they're going to have in heaven. Because, sometimes we are thumping in here. I'm like, they got the kick drum going, and that thing right there and over there, it's going boom, 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 boom. I'm like, yes! And then we got electric guitars now. Oh! Fantastic. All that's going to be in heaven. If people got built-in instruments, something like that's got to be in heaven. So yes, I want to feel Jesus when I'm worshiping. I want to get him as close as I can. And if he's close to, guess what? If I come up and I get close to you, do you feel me? Yep. Yeah. I'm not even touching you, but you feel me, right? So as we worship, that happens. Jesus comes closer, and if somebody touches you, you get some kind of feeling. He's saying, get off my shoulder. Right? I mean, but I was always told, well, it shouldn't be a feeling experience. It should be a change. It's going to change me. Because if I keep experiencing Jesus and getting that feeling, guess what I'm going to get addicted to? Feeling that feeling. When I don't feel like it. And then it's going to create an awe moment for me that then when I'm standing up here worshiping God and I'm boo-hooing and I got snot coming out of my face and I'm just loving on Jesus, the kids that are sitting out here and the youth that are sitting out here and going, dang, these adults love Jesus. I should probably do the same thing. They're crying their eyes out, but getting up as happy as all. I don't understand. Church, if we're going to be that church that impacts the world, we got to create all moments. We've got to, and I don't think there's any person in here that's too old to worship God. I don't think. I mean, if you can raise your hand, you can worship God. And I'm not saying to come up here and jump around and do, but if you in your heart, when you're standing there and worshiping, especially if you feel that lump in your throat and you just feeling Jesus, why not move out of the seat and come a little closer to Jesus? A little bit closer to the sound. Just throwing that out there. Our mission should be driven to build spiritual champions. George Barna in his book, here's the interesting thing about me and Pastor's outline. We didn't talk at all about our two outlines. You can ask anybody in the front office. We didn't talk. Oh, he came to me and he said, hey, will you do a session upstairs? I said, sure. He said, this is all he told me. I want to identify it and see some way to teach our mission of the church to youth and kids and people that work with them. That's all I got. It's like, gotcha. I can do it. So I put this together, sent it to him. He was like, that looks great. They printed it. He has George Barna in his. This is a different book. That's George Barna too. George Barna in his book, Revolutionary Parenting, defines a spiritual champion as an irrepressible follower of Jesus Christ who accepts the Bible as truth, lives by its principles, and seeks ways to impact the world and continually deepen his or her relationship with God. Mic drop. I could end this outline right there. Our job is to impact the world. But we need to impact people right here before we go shooting for the world. In our church communities, we should always be using the mission and vision to develop spiritual champions in adults, youth, and kids, while merging the understanding of that mission towards the understanding at the age-appropriate level. The mission should drive spiritual growth in each stage of life. Did you know, Pastor, when he says, hey, you need to be spiritually growing? I've been honest at this point. So when I was 16, I got into this thing that Pastor did here called Joshua's Men. Oh my God. Now, follow me here for a minute, because I'm not bashing it. At 16 years old, I was like, okay, I'll do Joshua's Men, my mom's youth pastor. Okay, I'm expected to do this. That was my mentality. I was given a book, Developing the Leader Within You. I was like, oh, Jesus. I got to read a book? I'm 16. I got baseball. I got schoolwork. I got other stuff going on. So I read it. Then there was another book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I was like, oh, my God. This is more book reading than I read in school. And the books just kept coming. I mean, 16, 17, 18 years old, I'm like reading these books, and I'm going, what am I doing? I can say no. But at that time, I realized that this is what my outline is about, was I had adults in my life that were at that church. Pastor was pouring into me and saying, hey, it's important to learn this stuff and important to do this in your life. And worshiping Jesus is worth it. Learning this stuff is worth it. That's why I did it. I didn't know the purpose of it then. I just thought, dang, he keeps giving us books. I don't like reading them. Now I have books on my phone and everywhere that I read like 3 at a time, just periodically here or there. I'm not a reader. I don't sit down and read a book in a day, y'all. I'm an educator. But I'm gonna say, you should go read. Yep, the kids should go read. They should. But when you become an adult, you've done all your reading, you can choose to read. While you're in school, you better read. You need to read them cliff notes and stuff. Now they just look it up online and get all the answers to the tests that the teachers give. Did you know that you know how we used to look in the back of the book and they used to have the test that the teacher gave, and I'm like, how do the teachers know this? They should be looking at the book. And now they just go online and find the test that the teacher gave. It's fantastic. They still fail. I don't understand. They're not very smart at things. Like, come on, guys. All right. How do we lead the mission with student ministries? I think that's the next one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How do we lead the mission with student ministries? That's everything. Number one, and I'm going to define this for us as not just how we lead mission within student ministries, but how do we lead this mission within just the world that we encompass, our jobs, the people that we surround ourselves with. So I want you to go there with me. Number one, know who you are as a leader. If you got somebody following you or looking up to you, you're a leader. So know who you are as a leader. What does that entail? Know your strengths. Know your strengths. Anybody want to guess what the second one is? Huh? Know your weaknesses. When I do outlines, I told the group that I was up there, I love to guess what the next blank is. Like, I can figure this out. Like context clues and stuff. I can figure out what's next. Anybody want to try for the third one? Just throw stuff out. Come on. Be brave. No? I just decided to stand in the chair. Sorry. No purpose behind it. I just felt like it. I just wanted to mess with the camera guy back there. Teach. Anybody else? Come on. Learn. Lead. Huh? Grow. All right, ready? Here it is. Y'all are so close. Y'all want to turn to a neighbor and ask them? No. Know how to self-evaluate. I love to self-evaluate. I love to tell people where I messed up. Like, I'm self-evaluating right now. Like, have I made an impact? Have I reached everybody in this room that I've made contact with? Have I done a good job of communicating what I want to communicate? Always. Why? Why should we self-evaluate? Improvement. I want to be better. I've had to tell my kids sometimes that Dad messed up. Sorry, I shouldn't have gotten on with you like that. We should be self-evaluating as parents, as spouses. I've had to tell my wife, hey, I messed up, I overreacted, I started that argument. And we can argue. We're good. If you in a marriage, let me tell you something. If you ain't arguing, you ain't doing something right. Because you can argue in love. Because we don't think the same. We somewhat think the same. We've been doing pretty good. I should teach on some marriage stuff next week. That would be fun. I'm still throwing around some ideas. Got some stuff in my pocket. Let me pull out. Self-evaluation, y'all. I can't express that enough as a follower of Jesus, how when you go to order something in a restaurant or at McDonald's, everybody have, like, McDonald's is terrible. I'm sorry. They are. They're slow. It is what it is. But if you're at a restaurant and they bring out a meal that's not to your satisfaction, you chose the restaurant. So if it comes out bad, it's your fault. That's how I look at it. Well, I chose to come here. So if it's bad, the cook probably did a bad job. But it's my fault. I came here. Or if you go to a restaurant and you see the whole entire parking lot full, it's a way to self-evaluate too. You chose to park in a crowded parking lot. You probably know that's going to be a long wait. So when you go there and they tell you it's an hour and a half wait, oh my God, it's an hour. You saw the parking lot, did you not? So you're either pulling into that parking lot going, you need to self-reflect right then and evaluate. The parking lot was full. I pulled into it. I parked. I got out. All of them people were out in front of the restaurant. They must be waiting too. They're not just hanging out. And they go, and I've watched people come in, I'm like, why are you complaining about an hour and a half wait? It's obvious that outside, it tells you before you get in the building, it's an hour and a half wait. Don't give these people a hard time. Sit, chill out, relax. If you're with your spouse on a date, gives you more time to talk and put up your phone. Look at the positives, right? Self-evaluate. Constant. Romans 12, 6 and 8. We have a different gifts according to the grace given to us. If a man's gift is leadership, let him govern diligently. We should know who we are as leaders. We should self-reflect. We should know our strengths, know our weaknesses. Because all of us have gifts. I have gifts that you don't have. You have gifts that I don't have. I can do things better than you can do it, and you can do things better than I can do it. That's not being big-headed. That's knowing who I am. I know that I can take 400 kids, and I can get them to pay attention to me for an hour. Because I'm that good. I know I can. I've done it. Now, I'm tired when I'm done, but by God, I did it. Andy Stanley, in his book, The Next Generation Leader, poses this idea. Upgrade your performance by playing to your strengths and delegating your weaknesses. This one decision will do more to enhance your productivity than anything else you do as a leader. You know what that means? Find people around you. If you want to grow and we want to learn, find people around you that can make you better. I have a teacher at school that she's trying to get her educational leadership degree, and she has assignments to do. So she came to me and she said, hey, can you help me with this assignment? I said, yeah, I've been through this program. Yeah. I said, are you doing these weekly? She's like, well, I'm just kind of, I said, look, if you don't do this weekly, you're going to get behind, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to end up dropping out of it. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. She said, what do you mean? I said, there's no time to slow down in this if you want to finish it. And she was like, really? I said, yeah. She said, will you do me a favor? I said, sure. She said, will you come by and hold me accountable for making sure I do these assignments? I said, no, I want you to understand what you're asking me to do for you. Because if you ask me to hold you accountable, you're asking me these things. Help me be better. Help me to stay focused. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. She said, okay. So when she sees me coming down the hall, I could be just coming in the classroom to see the kids and all that. She knows I'm going to ask her, hey, so how's it going with your assignments? She wants to be better, so she wanted somebody to do that for her. Want people to do that for you. If you're trying to be good at something or be better at something, it can be just reading your word in the morning or at night. Be better. I love the Bible app. It gives you the days that you messed up. So my goal has been to start on January 1st and then at the end of the year have 365 without going back to one. What does that do? Well, it reminds me to go to the Bible first every day. And I'm going to be disappointed in myself if I don't. But you know who helps me remind myself? My wife, because she's better at it. Because she watches every one of those video things. I don't do that. I read the scripture and I roll on because I think about the scripture. I don't have time to sit there and listen to the people. But she reminds me because I see her doing it. I got to stop. Dang it! Talk too fast. I did this in an hour and 15 minutes, though, didn't I? That was the problem. I didn't move fast enough. Let me give you the blanks for this last page. We're just going to go through it, and then I'll talk about it next week. Or I may not. I don't know. I'll give you the rest of it. Ready? Create a team around the mission. This next part is just talking about what Pastor has talked about the last several weeks in creating our team, talking about our mission. This really pertains to all that. The first bullet is find individuals who understand the mission. Find individuals who understand the mission. Next one, find individuals that enjoy being around students. I don't want anyone to do not volunteer for children's ministry if you do not like children. I'll just be honest. If you're somebody that can't stand kids, you said, I have my kids, they are gone out of my house, and I don't want to talk to them anymore. Like, I don't want to deal with kids. I love you, but I don't want you in children's ministry. I've had that before. I mean, I had a worker that got so frustrated one time that during the service, like we had a bunch of kids, during the service, they picked the kid up in the air and hauled them around out the door. And I was like, hey, come talk to me for a minute. Because see, if you do that to a kid, even at church, we going to have conversation. Because that ain't your kid to put your hands on. Because I don't even let my teachers at school do that. I won't do that. I will go get the parent and say, you need to lay hands on your child. Now, you can take them to the bathroom and do that if you need to, and then they can come back in. I do that at school. I call it, hey, can you come? You might need to have a car conversation with your child. Or we have bathrooms in the foyer that you might want to have a conversation with them. You know, one of them intense ones? Bring whatever discipline device that you use. Belt, hand, a good scolding with your words. Whatever will fix it. We need them to pay attention in school. All right, last one, and then I'll stop. Find those that are willing to learn and develop their skills. Find those that are willing to learn and develop their skills. Y'all want me to finish this next week? Finish it now? It's a whole other page. Finish it now? Okay, let me finish. I'll finish this page. Y'all want to finish the page? Y'all give me 2 minutes? I won't ramble. Okay. Here we go. Number 3. Be a leader worth following. Be a leader worth following. I would say be a person worth going to church with. Like if you're asking somebody to go to church, make sure that you're kind of carrying on the fact that you like church. Not hurting anybody's feelings, am I? The next bullet. Make communication a priority. How many know if you never talked to your wife or your friends or anything else for about a month? One, they're going to start, if they're really your friends, they're going to call and say, hey, you okay? Communication is really key to anything. You know, you can't just come talk to God when you want to. You should probably spend time with Him a little bit more than just off, like, when you're having problems. If you're building a relationship with Jesus, we got to talk to Him more than that one time we're having problems. A relationship calls for communication. Next one, make your team a family affair. I think we do really good here making your team a family affair. I think there's a good family atmosphere here at Family Worship Center where, again, it's just so good to walk through places and see people smiling. You know, at school I go through and when people aren't smiling, I'm like, okay, we at school, y'all, we got kids. Let's smile a little bit. Let's act like we're happy. Let's fake it until we make it, maybe. Please. Like if you volunteer in the children's ministry, you may be tired when you show up on Sunday. I understand. Or Wednesday. I get it. But fake it. Get in there and usually if you fake it a little bit, you'll end up feeling better about it. That's what I find anyways. If I just get in there, just struggle through a little bit, man, I'm going to feel great in a minute. Make your team a fan. And the last one, and I love this one. I try to do this. And it's so hard to do nowadays because people think you're faking. Be genuine. Genuineness is so rare now. Like, people think that you got something that you're trying to do to make something else happen, and no. Like I told somebody the other day, everybody, I'm hoping everybody knows I want to be a principal one day. That is no secret. So if there's a job opening, I'm going to apply for it. I mean, I love where I'm working right now, but my goal is not to stay as an assistant principal. I want to lead a school. I want to do something and see what God will let me do. That's not a secret. And that's true genuineness. I'm not trying to build up anything or do nothing. I want to run a school. I want to help people genuinely. Like when I come here to do church, I'm going to be out of town and somebody has to fill my spot for that month. Because I'm just not going to be here. But I still want to do up there. That's genuine. That's not just saying, like when I say I love education and love what I do, that is I'm not faking that just to impress people. Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright will guide them, but the crookedness of the treacherous will destroy them. Don't give me the 8:15, I can do it. 8:15? No, I got nowhere else to be, right? Everything's closed in Cairo. I mean, my food's sitting in my car because I didn't have time to go eat it, so it's just sitting there. We're going to heat it up when we get to the house. Helen Keller, I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than walk alone in the light. That's coming from a blind person and deaf person, y'all. You don't know who Helen Keller is. There were some of them young folks up there that I thought, they don't know who Helen Keller is because they don't teach about this stuff no more. All right, so if you want to be a volunteer, what is the mission for you? And in the mission, what is the mission within the mission? What is my mission? Number 1, ask questions. If you're going to volunteer in anything, ask questions. What do you want me to do? What am I going to be doing? How often do I have to be here? Ask those questions. You can ask those questions. Number 2, make suggestions and share ideas. I want people to come up to me that's not up there in children's ministry and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? I mean, we'll do it, but I want suggestions and ideas. You got suggestions for the church? Suggest ideas. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but suggest it. I do all the time. I get turned down all the time for some things, not just at the church, but anywhere, because I have crazy ideas. Number 3, know your leader and trust the mission. I hope everybody here that comes to Family Worship Center, 1, you trust Pastor Johnny and knowing that he has your life at the center and of his most important purpose of this, because that's what he's given his life for at the church as a senior pastor. Number 4, if you're volunteering somewhere, you probably need to show up. Show up. If you say, hey, I'm going to work that Sunday, show up that Sunday. Don't call and just say you're sick when you're really not. Because let me tell you something, y'all. If you're supposed to be doing something for Jesus, and you lie and say you're sick because you don't want to show up, that's not a game I want to play. I'm just saying, I'm not even going to play Russian roulette with that. Like, it's kind of like, with my luck, I get sick. Really sick. And I'm not saying God punishes that way. That's what I'm saying. But it's just sometimes, if you commit to something, commit. Emergencies come up, but commit. All right? Love, learn, lead with your pastor. Take care of the business. How do we do that? How do we love, learn, lead? How do we take care of the business? Number 1, be available. Be available. Number 2, be a communicator. Number 3, be transparent. You know that I can end this tonight. You can come up to me and say, I didn't like what you said. And I won't be offended. I want to know why. Be transparent. If you didn't like something, tell people you didn't like it. You can do that in a loving way without being mean about it. Number 4, don't be a yes person. If we're going to love, lead with our pastor and take care of stuff, don't just say yes because he's your pastor, or don't say yes because somebody's coming up and ask. If I come up and ask you to volunteer, you can tell me no. I mean, there's people that I've been asked when I was, just in the back and sitting there looking like, because a lot of people didn't know when we came back. And I love this part. When we came back, some people come, "Hey, how you doing? Is this your first time here?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is," because I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But I had people come up and ask me to volunteer for stuff, and I told them no. You what? Yeah. Mm-mm. That shouldn't offend people. It's just where I'm at right now and what I'm doing in my world and where I need to be is not doing that. Now, there may be a time that it is, and it was. So sometimes if you're really feeling like you should be involved and get involved, you should get involved. That's the purpose of it. That's what, we should be teaching that it's a purpose to get involved and because one, it's going to make you a better human being towards Jesus and with Jesus and build your relationship with Jesus where you can share your experience with somebody else. But if you're not there, don't do it. If your heart's not there, don't do it. You got to say yes to me. I'm going to pray for you a lot, though, because if I see a gift in you that I want to pull out, I'm going to pray hard. Don't be a yes person. Most pastors don't want a yes person. They want someone who understands the mission and wants to see lives changed for the kingdom. Any person that I've worked with in ministry has always been about the kingdom. And some do want to say nice things and not be genuine and do that, but we ain't got that here. Here's my plug. So if you would like to work in the children's ministry tonight, I would love to talk to you, whether in the nursery or the cubbies or the wee kids. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, I'm so sorry that I didn't pray before we began. My bad. Forgive me, Daddy God. I totally forgot. But I'm human, and I messed up, and my brain was going too fast. And you know me because you created me. But I ask tonight, God, that you help us in our mission in life to learn to know who we are, to know our strengths and weaknesses, to know that kids and youth matter, and that as we build our lives as adults, as the people that should know the answers, help us to know that there's youth and kids that can benefit from the knowledge and the things that we know in our lives, and know that we are adults that have the same struggles and the same issues that they deal with, that we're not just that person that doesn't want to listen to them. So God, I just ask you to help us tonight to be models and examples around this church, around our community, for those people that are smaller. God, those people that are still learning just about how to read, how to write, how to drive. God, how to do life. God, help us to be examples to them. Help us to take our gifts that we have and share it out to the world as best we can in our communities. God, I thank you for the time that we spent tonight. I'm sorry I went over 15 minutes. I promise to do better next week. Give everybody safe travels home in Jesus' name. Amen. Love y'all.